Welcome again to AV Asia Pacific Magazine's Lockdown podcast. And today I'm welcoming Scott Doyle. He's the AV manager at Swinburne Uni in Melbourne, and he's also the president of the AETM, the Technology Manager Association for Australian Universities. Is that correct, Scott? Did I get that right?
You did.
Yeah,
You
awesome.
very correct.
Close
Thank you.
enough. So thanks, Scott, for joining us. Looks like you're not at work.
No, majority of us are all working from home. Been working from home for a week now.
Sure. Can I get you just to explain as best you can what's going on in the Australian market or the Australian, you're the community of tech managers, like what are people doing? Where are the unis at mostly?
It's an interesting question. I guess the obvious thing is that we're all trying to transfer, all the universities are trying to transfer all their learning online. And the portion of sort of the AV managers have to deal with that is like, probably the support and management of services such as Skype, Teams and Zoom. The learning online thing is dramatically increased when most students, especially in Victoria, it was a week and a half ago, were all overnight told don't come to campus. The next day there are no classes on campus. That escalated quite quickly, and now we've also got at my university, Swinburne, no staff at campus now as well. Everyone's working from home unless you're an absolute essential service, and the only essential service I believe really is security.
Sure.
Most universities are in about the same boat. I think last time I spoke to some colleagues in South Australia, they feel like they're about a week behind what was happening in Melbourne. So every time I said, this is what's happening at my university, they're like, oh, okay, it happened about a week later for them. So a lot of people have already had our budgets taken off us in preparation of what the future holds. So for AV managers, all our capital expenditure for refreshing classrooms and meeting rooms, most of us had that budget removed for 2020. So we're all scrambling about what do we do when we actually do return to campus.
Sure. I guess there's a lot to concern yourselves with. But the immediate concern of, in a very short space of time, doing the whole online learning thing. Like, what have your members been telling you, I guess, about how they've coped?
Yeah, everyone's coping okay. So I guess the particular thing for AV managers, we are very much an on-campus support and engineering team. Obviously, 90% of our roles is looking after classrooms and lecture theatres and meeting rooms. We've been heavily involved in, obviously the stabilisation of the platforms and training for the cloud-based conferencing platforms like Teams and Zoom and Skype, and creating how-to guides and one-page guides for academics who actually have never actually used these platforms before. We've got academics who are under 30, and we've got academics that are all over 60, 70. So obviously there's a wide range of skill sets in using technology. We know that classroom technology sometimes can be difficult to use for some people and easy for others. So
Sure.
No difference when you're transferring that to an online platform. And it's not just the video collaboration side of it, it's also how that is implemented with a learning management system such as Blackboard or Canvas. So we've been working closely with sort of learning and teaching units in helping those how-to guides, and also then trying to develop ways we can provide support online for when people are having problems with their web cameras or headsets, and being sort of part of the service desk in many regards for those type of calls when they come in. Because as you can understand, with everything moving online and everybody moving offside, our service desk staff are just absolutely overloaded with all kinds of requests. So
Yep.
for us to take a small piece of that and help out, that's probably where most of our focus has been.
Yep, sure. It's the pressure is on, isn't it? Because it's not simply a matter of being able to provide some kind of teaching service. When you've got lots of full fee paying students, you have to do better than just provide a service, surely.
Yeah, and I think that's a real difficult part, and it's quite difficult to do to provide to go above and beyond your current service offering when you're working from home. Bringing in a personal touch or collaborating even closer with the student is what we really need to be doing now, and it's harder when you're doing it digitally as well. So showing empathy and taking the time to work through problems, with customers over the phone, you tend to take longer now and be probably a little bit more patient because you just don't necessarily take control of what they need in an immediate requirement of, the classroom's not working here, let me get it running for you. Now it's also a matter of, okay, let me get this running for you, but help me teach you so this doesn't happen again as well, because we're not only just dealing with when we're in our normal operating environment, we're dealing with standards. We're dealing with the same PC, the same laptop, the same classrooms. We know how they can operate, but all of a sudden now we're dealing with home devices. It could be a 7-year-old laptop with a 10-year-old webcam, and that's what that's what's being used for online learning. So our skill sets are being stretched, and we're doing our best to provide that service which goes above and beyond. I think by doing that as well, and I guess I'd probably give it that more personal touch, we are probably receiving some pretty good feedback, because I think everybody understands we're in the same boat. The students understand that, this is not the normal mode, and they're not getting the same benefits I think they probably thought they were getting for their fees. And I think the probably challenges on for every university at the other end of this is what changes on campus, how do we make campus even more attractive again? Because that's what the students still want. The students still want to come to campus. Online learning is there. It's a backup system. It's a way of learning for people, who work during the day and study at night time. But university campuses are a lifeblood for these students for a good, 4 or 6 year period. And I guess how do we make that better in the future? That's what we'll be starting to think about, I think, next month when we stabilise all the online learning, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's clearly been the point of all of the investment that's been going on in recent years on campus, is to make the campus experience as attractive as possible. And I guess that's one reason why maybe not many campuses have been sort of tooling up for worst case scenario or, global pandemic. But have you, on one hand, in the future, you want to improve that campus experience even more, but on the other hand, having your backup being a better experience for students? Like, have you found that the likes of Teams and Zoom reached their kind of sort of limits of what they're good at pretty quickly?
I don't think the platforms are reaching their limits. Dare I say, ADSL's reached its limit. It's interesting when we're having meetings, be it team meetings and so forth, that you can see who's on what kind of connection from home. And I guess that's what concerns me a bit for some of the students, that if they're on an old ADSL, they're still waiting to be upgraded to the NBN, it's quite a big impact. Our connection right now is pretty good one-on-one, but once you start getting to 6 to 20-person calls, which is what some of the teaching can do, the connections at their end is now being limited. So that is something that's out of university's control.
Sure.
But I also think it's not the tools that are reaching their limit, but I think it's going back to that skill set of the academics weren't 100% prepared to teach online. And the first week when we had no students and we were still at campus, I was monitoring all our Echo 360 platform, and I noticed that one particular academic was still in his classroom, and he was in a Zoom call, and then had all the the students were in the chat and they're all joined in the call, and he was still teaching his content and recording it live in the classroom. So he's obviously a lot more tech savvy and realised, hey, this is the way I can deliver. I had another bunch of academics wanted to borrow the old document cameras, the mathematicians, so they could go home, convert into a USB signal if they weren't a USB doc cam, put them into their laptop, and then that way they could easily start doing their mathematical equations on paper, and then zooming that content out as a separate capture. So they're the tech-savvy ones who straight away were, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And then there's the ones that I haven't heard about because obviously they're not using technology. What are they doing? I'm not 100% sure. It's a student for the questions, and I'm sure there'll be probably in about a week or so there'll be a lot more feedback coming in from the students about they're struggling with their courses, or no, they feel like they're getting quality for their student fees.
Sure. There are some more thoroughbred distance learning platforms out there that I guess may have been more the preserve of, sort of online training places, I guess, not universities so much. But have you looked at any of those, considered any of those for the future?
Yeah, so for the future, we'll definitely be looking at some. I've got a few that I'm going to be sort of researching in the next couple of weeks as a separate backup. But yeah, for the immediate time of what's happened, no one's had the time or the budget to be implementing anything new. We've done so many things and enhanced so many systems, in a rapid fashion through change management. Even something simple as most universities had to expand their VPN capability because we weren't used to, we had a license for 200 concurrent VPNs and all of a sudden we needed 2,000. So there's been a lot of focus on the stability and the delivery of the current services, which we can support than before starting to deploy something new. So I'm sure post, the other side of this, there'll be a lot more, okay, well, what else could we do in the future? And I'm sure some universities, if not my own, will maybe even think of doing some more online learning as part of their natural course anyway, to try and enhance the student experience, where some students might struggle to work and study and travel to campus, that for 1 or 2 days a week they can have it delivered to them at home.
So the university sector has been a very rich seam of revenue for many vendors. Is there any kind of crystal balling you can do for us about whether there's going to be budget slashes for the rest of 2020 into 2021, or how do you think the universities and the governments will respond?
Yeah, look, I'd love to know how the government will respond, but I don't. And considering the way they're splashing cash around, I'm sure they'll try to assist the higher education sector, but how much, I'm not sure. If there is no sort of government assistance on the other side, that I think the universities will struggle a little bit. Obviously, our enrolments will be down, our international enrolments will be down, and there's a lot of money not coming in. As I said, capital budgets, most people's capital budgets have been taken off them for 2020 already. All our professional development budgets, travel to conference budgets have all gone. So all that's already been diverted into more essential services for each organisation. I don't expect much change in 2021. I see that every university will take a very big hit. I mean, there's no organisation or individual in the world that isn't going to get a big hit from this. I expect next year, my budget, most people's budget would be quite small. It'd be like, okay, you've got a life cycle management program for your classrooms, and can you extend it 2 years? Those conversations, I'm sure, will be had. They'll be probably had very shortly because the budget life cycles for most people come up mid-year. So I see it being quite lean for a couple of years. It will hurt the vendors that rely more on the education industry. And And I think the AV industry as a whole, I think probably will hurt a little bit, because I just don't see businesses, going out and buying big LED walls or digital signage displays or building a raft of new boardrooms all of a sudden. If anything, it's the cloud-based vendors who are selling some cloud-based service who are going to probably do well over the next 18 months. So I don't see, my crystal ball says there won't be much funds floating around for 18 months. 2022 might be a year where things probably get back on track.
So to sign off, what are your thoughts, or what's your message to AETM members, and just sort of what's your inspirational chin up sign off?
That's a good look. It's disappointing for the AETM. We had to postpone our conference, so we just postponed it 12 months. While we're all, the committee of the AETM are all volunteers. So at the moment we're all under resourced in delivering the services that we're doing now. We're all struggling with working from home. So we're all in it together. We're all feeling each other's pain. But we hope to, in the next 1 or 2 months, and especially come November when our conference would have been held, is to try to deliver some online stories and webinars to keep our network open, to realise that we're all there for each other, and create a stronger online community. We have an online community at the moment, but I guess none of us are really hopping in there because we're all so busy. And it's also this is also new to everybody. If you ask somebody, what are you doing? The first thing would be a shrug of the shoulder. And I don't know, we're scrambling to figure out what to do next. Waiting to find out what's happening to budget. So we hope to do more for the members and be able to speak to everybody and give everyone an opportunity to catch up. It's probably something that we'll look at post-Easter. Let everybody settle into their new way of working, because I don't think anyone, if they're off working from home or already doing online learning delivery, that this will continue until semester 2 or sort of mid-July, August. So we're looking at 3 to 4 months of being in this way of working, and we'll have to take a while to settle into it. So
Understood. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to AV Magazine. I appreciate it. And we wish you and your members luck, and hopefully you'll have a little bit of money to play with to get stuck into the next year.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
No worries, mate.